Saskia Pantell is president of the Zionist Federation of Sweden, and the small towns where she grew up in northern Sweden are home to idyllic views and fear for being Jewish. They're also, like cities and towns around the world, the site of anti-Semitic vandalism. Saskia, thanks so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Tell us a little bit what you have actually just witnessed around you, and kind of how rare or not are those things?
Well, actually, I was born in America, but I moved to Sweden at a young age because my mother is Swedish. And at the time, we thought it was completely normal to have to hide your Jewish identity. And adding to the fact that we didn't know at the time, but where we were living was the neo-Nazi hotbed of the country. Now, Nazis roaming the streets started to become an anti-immigrant symbol in Sweden, but the swastikas were everywhere. And several years ago, during an anti-Israel protest in my hometown of Borlänge, I, with a journalist background, took my camera. I headed to the main square where we saw the masses handing out swastikas over the flag of Israel, and a comparison of Israel and Netanyahu with the Nazis. And this became a large news, not necessarily because of anti-Semitism, because nobody saw it as that, but they saw it as the anti-Israel protest, and it was about the anti-Israel narrative. Now, because of that, it actually became reported by somebody else. I, at the time, was too scared to report it because I was the only person there who wasn't participating. And being Jewish and living not too far away, it's quite frightening because if somebody reported it, they would know it was me. But eventually I also reported because I had all the evidence in my camera. And this was the first time where I actually had the courage to speak up, but I was so disappointed because even though I handed all the evidence in my camera, I had it on film, who handed it out, who said what, it was dismissed 6 months later on lack of evidence, and it wasn't considered anti-Semitic because it was critical of Israel. Now, this is a prime example, in my opinion, why we need the IRA definition, because how can we even talk about this if we are not safe as Jews in a country, especially like Sweden, that values democracy that much?
Right. That's a great point. A country that is all about democratic values, and one where I'll just remind people watching of what you said at the outset, which is pretty unbelievable, that it just became normal to grow up in Sweden and have to hide the fact that you are Jewish. So Saskia, thanks very much for sharing your story.